Hi guys, and welcome back to the melting of the winter gears. Before they even knew it, the sky turned dark, and the air grew colder than before. Small splatterings of light began to peek out from above. The bridge was just as they left it. Noel shaped snow angel to Noel. Ah, how the time does fly. It feels like we only just started. Except my joints. My joints don't feel the way they did that way at all. What do your joints feel like? They feel like they want to crumple up into that snow pile there and take a long, nice nap. Wouldn't you know? Brilliant powder flakes began to flutter down from the sky. Noel yanked their hands out from their pockets and tipped their chin up into the air. Eyes closed, they let the snow fall where it may. What are you doing? I'm freezing over. Why would you do that? Because it feels nice, I think. When things get colder, they feel cleaner somehow, like the frostbite clears out all the bad stuff. It hurts a little, but everything lasts longer. To Lillian, they looked like a lonely statue. The snow piled up on their hat and coat and sleeves until it appeared that they had been here, standing, waiting, arms stretched. Time marched by, but they would always be there, waiting. It was made clear by the look on their face. The place they once belonged no longer existed. All they could do now was wait. I nearly forgot. I promised to pay you, didn't I? Double, triple, what have you. They fished around their coat and produced a tempting coin purse, giving it a good shake. And so? Actually, did we ever agree on a price? It was somewhere from 1 to 2 million, I believe. Now, miss, I doubt the purses in the countryside could fit that. Let's see here. They began to count out the coins in the purse. 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. A brilliant idea struck them. They took Lillian's hands in their own, and with the widest grin they abandoned counting and simply dropped the entire bag into her palm. All this? That good enough for you? It's all I've got. It's a satisfactory amount, thank you. Lillian had never held so much money in her life. The weight of the coins felt otherworldly. She clutched the purse to her chest in disbelief. Thank you very much. Thank you for the company. It's been a while since I've enjoyed myself so much. Say, miss. Now that you got all that money, what would you do next? I'll go get more money. More, and after that? I'll go find more. Miss, is that all you're out for? I don't understand how that's all wrong. She gazed at him with unquestionable sincerity. Not once had she ever considered anything else. Why should she? Those were the words she was born with. Lillian. Right at that moment, the fierce wind tore through the town. The words were stolen right out of his mouth. Maybe it's a sign that he should start looking for cover. This storm is looking pretty nasty. The doll nodded and fastened her music box tight. But when she turned to go, Noel was standing just as still. Aren't you coming with? I'm busy. Busy standing around in the cold? Sure. Gosh, are you suddenly interested in me, Miss Lillian? She tugged her shawl to guide her around her and huffed. Hardly. You're just acting odd. There was no response, just an ordinarily bright smile. Freeze then, I couldn't care less. Alrighty then. Stand around and turn to a hunk of ice. Goodbye, miss. Take care of yourself. They looked about as chipper as they had before. Lillian was bewildered by that kind of face, so she turned on her heel and trudged through the snow, away from the odd stranger and her disconcerting smile. She suddenly wished to get as far away as possible. Maybe she would leave this town as soon as tomorrow, or even in the midst of the night. She marched on faster with the wind in her ears and the jingle of coins in her purse. Behind her, the stranger waved. They got smaller and smaller until they became but a flickering speck. And all at once, they were swallowed up by the storm. Oh, that's loud. It was a thunderstorm. What in the world was that? The storm. It's a storm, Father. I don't remember the storm being quite that early in the story. Now, let me take a look. Oh, you senseless oaf. The storm is outside this very instant. I see. What a surprising circumstance we situated ourselves in. Or rather, Mother Nature has situated us in. Don't tell me you're afraid of a little thunder, dear. I'm not. I'm merely cautious. There's no harm in some healthy caution, is there? Not at all. It would be trouble if you were actually afraid, of course. All good stories have a few ferocious storms. The wind in town was becoming fiercer, colder, but it was nothing compared to what would happen next. Do you remember who was in the town? There's the doll lady, of course, and the bum guy, and the cat. That's correct. But there was someone else as well. It's just that nobody has noticed him yet. It was only a matter of time. How does this work? Ugh, these damn dolls. Sorry, I just lost my temper there. You know, it said dolls can feel stuff nowadays. Isn't that neat? I don't know about you. You look a little chilly. I ought to give you a name. I know, it's perfect for you. You look just like a Lillian. Alright, Lillian, let's get along. You know, you might even become good friends. Morning light flared over the silent town and glinted off the shattered glass windows. It crawled through the cracks of the ceilings and filtered through the colorful panes of the church, falling upon the doll's still face. With such an expression, one would believe that she was fast asleep. Ugh, so it seems even glass things can dream. The light also filtered through the persnickety smoke like cat, who sat smoldering at the feet of the doll. An uproarious din you were making in your so-called sleep, although you couldn't have been dreaming of much. Did that clog-filled head of yours, okay, the cat has something against us. The doll's eyes gently fluttered open and landed on the smoky figure in front of her. Oh, it's the rat. I'm a cat, you lunatic witch. Did you find that elephant you were so interested in, or have you given up already? You were so adamant about it before. Ugh, it's simply no good to talk to you at all. So no elephant then. The flickering cat's whisker twitched in ever-growing annoyance, but Lillian remained steadfast. What was the cat searching for? She couldn't find it, not in such cold eyes. Once again, I pray that we may be so fortunate as to never cross paths again. Ta-ta! At lightning speed, Lillian reached out and once more yanked the cat by the tail. Wait. Ugh! Enough of this. My name is Lillian. And why does that matter now? 'Cause you keep calling me Glass Thing, and that's not my name. You didn't care to introduce yourself the first time we met, so now what makes you so interested? Lillian fell silent. She could not recall all the time and place of the memory, but she knew that it had been precious to her once. That, with those simple words, her entire world was born, even the speaker's face was shrouded in fog. But the cat, with her sharp eyes, felt a wave of bitterness rise within her as she looked at the doll with the deepest contempt. A glass thing is a glass thing is a glass thing, all wretched and slowness and easy to shatter. They don't feel pain, and they make a wonderful crystalline ring when they're smashed. When they're smashed? Or when they're pierced or blown to bits. Stripped of their uniforms and pulled limb from limb. I don't understand. Oh, glass things aren't made to understand. Only do. A thing that lives slowly on the wishes of others is a thing that shouldn't exist. Lillian's hand grew limp, and the smoky tail slipped through. See, you'll understand in due time. How empty things like you really are. The doll watched the cat slink away through the open church door. Snowflakes were falling in and melting on the floor. She was sure that she had closed the door last night, but it was all a blur. She had, hadn't she? There was the beginning of a storm, a creaking old theater, a lyric smile. That smile. There were simply too many thoughts for such a foggy head. Lillian dutifully checked her trusty mechanical box before heading out of the church and into the light. Back into the streets, the doll went, cranking the box at a steady pace. Her song echoed off the decaying walls and loosened sheets of ice. I'll play a song for a coin, any song for a coin. A nickel for a few notes, a melody for a medal. Tell me what you wish to hear. Yet again, there was no answer. The town stood without word. I'll play a song for a coin, any song for a coin. With the gentle snow and emptiness, it felt as if she were trapped in a snow globe, with only her own song to keep her company. She could play her music and beg for coin as long as she wished. She could fill the town with illusionary life. In the end, the buildings were still crumbling, and the glass was still shattered, with nobody left to mourn it. No cat, no bum, no life at all. No coin. The doll decided she was going to leave for good, but she heard a small jingle from her skirts. It was a tall bag of coins Noel had left her the night before. He'd been smiling so terribly when he handed it over, not a care in the world. A bum like that must be sleeping about now, lying around in the cold like a lost dog. Nearest must be freezing into icicles sticking straight out like little frozen clothes poles. That would be entertaining to see, at least. That was that. She'd say goodbye to the old dog and then be on her way. She'd go and find more coin. So off she went to the bridge. Except the fool was nowhere to be seen. His familiar sewing indent had been filled up from the storm last night, and there wasn't any footprints in sight. There was, however, a very peculiar stranger looking over into the frozen river. Oh goodness, I could have sworn I'd just seen it. Oh, please, 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 God, I'll do 1,000,000 push-ups to make wish comes true. There was a lively little missus with a smile twice as peppy as she was tall. In one bandaged hand, she held a heavy shovel, dull from overuse. In the other, well, there wasn't a hand at all. Her sleeves was tied up halfway, swinging around as she bounced on her heels. Come on, God, just a little bit. I'll do, 2,000,000 push-ups even. Oh, 3,000,000? I don't know if I could. The stranger clearly was lacking in an upstairs apartment, perhaps even a bit loony. Lillian took hardly a step forward when the very stranger turned around and drew their shovel like a knight's sword. Oh goodness, you're just a harmless one. Tee-hee. The lady lowered her shovel from Lillian's chin and adorned a truly wonderful smile. The doll, however, was immune to those sort of pleasantries. Did you see a person around here? Person? Gosh. There aren't many other people around here besides little old me. All the people here are either 6 feet under or somewhere even deeper than that. Why are you looking for anybody? I don't know. Am I? I don't know. Are you? Take a guess. Maybe. Oh, just maybe. Maybe, or maybe not. The dark, dangerous stranger from moments ago melted away. All that was left was a pure, befuddled buffoon. The poor victim looked to Lillian for a smidgen of hope. Maybe? Oh goodness, yeah, I won. Or did I? I don't know, did you? Please, Miss Doll, I can't do this again. Oh, but if you want, we can search together. I'm looking for somebody too. But didn't you just say there weren't any people in town? That's right, but don't worry, my person's already dead, so no more of a body. So I was looking at the river in case any bodies show up. I've never heard of that before. Well, there's only one way to find out. Sometimes they end up in holes or alleys or even trees if they get blown far enough. Look, see? The old lady turned back to the river and leaned over a bit over the railing. She pointed gleefully at the debris flowing by. See, that's some wood and a scrap of dress, and that is a whole bunch of booklets. Shreds of the town's history was carried off by frozen rivers. The storm the night before had been a strong one, and had clawed at the houses, ripped at the streets until chunks of them flew into the stream. Things long buried beneath the snow and earth were dug up once again by the forces of nature, and they were carried away like a dour little parade. It was a dreary sight, but the mysterious lady couldn't stop bouncing around like a child in a toy shop. Lillian watched the river with the unusual stone face. Half of a cabinet floated by, dresses and dolls poured out and sunk to the icy bottom. Miss Doll, were you given a name? Yes, I was. Could you tell me what it is? It's Lillian. Lillian. Do you like the name Lily? Lily. Yes, it will match with my name so nicely. I was called Holly. Holly spun on her heels like a clumsy ballerina. Well, that's nice, isn't it? Lily and Holly. I suppose it's tolerable. Just then, Lillian spotted something in the water. It was a ratty bit of clothing bobbing through the shredded wood. Stained, thoroughbred, and oh so familiar. Lily, what are you looking at? The doll pointed into the waters. It's his... There was no hesitation. Holly threw down her shovel, climbed up on top of the railing, and dove straight into the sea of debris. She crashed into the water below with a loud splash. The doll, in a panic, leaned over the side to catch a better look. Goodbye, miss. Take care of yourself. Those words were played over and over in her mind, booming so loud that she could swear she could heard something rattle. They weren't at the bridge, and they weren't at the church either. They disappeared into the storm of the night. How could they... Clearly, I've got it. A cheerful soaked-through smile beamed from down below. Holly was waving through the stream of scraps, swinging the ratty hat with her one arm. "No worries, it's okie dokie, Lily. I've got it right here." It was Noel's hat, drenched with ice water and ripped on one side. The owner was nowhere to be seen. Was he a ghost of the town? So Holly climbed out of the shivering cold with her prize in hand. "Father, I've got a question." Despite such ferocious temperatures, the woman stood tall and proud without a single twitch. "Father, I've been thinking." She picked up her shovel and handed the worn-through hat to the doll. "Father." Oh, I'm sorry, dearest. Were you saying something? I was saying an awful lot, but your atrocious attention was unfairly divided. I was thinking about it, Father. This is all extremely strange. That lady, she said there weren't any people in town. I see where you're going with this, dear, but I won't be answering a thing. What? Why not? Well, isn't that what the story's for? The joy of finding out? There would hardly be a story if I just told you all the reveals immediately. You're right, but... A scary story. Oh, the weather's getting rougher, I think. Just like in the story. Father, what is wrong with you? It's thunder. Thunder. I thought you said you weren't scared, but rather merely cautious. I am, it's just... I'm sorry, I've been a bit rude. If you would like, we'll take a break and go to bed earlier. Mother can fetch us some hot milk, too. I don't want to. Oh? I want to hear the rest, you airhead delirious dolt. You can't just stop in the middle of something. Why is she insulting her dad like that? I'll admit, I'm happy to hear that. Unfinished things are the worst, aren't they? If you get scared, just hop onto Papa's lap, alright? Stop being so disgusting and get on with the story already. Yes, as it was. Without a shiver on a single thought, Holly followed behind Lillian like a cheerful little baby duck following its mother. Lillian did not mind, or at least didn't show it. She was in a stranger's step. They wandered through the streets, knocking on the doors of deserted houses. There was never any answer. One of the doors was hanging off its hinges, busted full of tiny holes. Smothered wood was scattered across the floor inside. And further in, there was a lovely set of table and chairs of return. The vase that must have once been full of flowers was crushed to pieces from the unseen impact. I wonder what breakfast was like here, Holly mused, stomach rumbling. Maybe soup and biscuits without any worms, and the soup is as thick as it can be. Oh my. As Holly rambled on, the doll found her eyes drawn to the vase. She could almost hear the crack as it had been hit on the ground, however long ago that had been. She suddenly wished very badly to leave that miserable little house. With the snow falling like that, everything looked new again, newly built, newly broken, newly left behind. The doll's shoes crunched loudly in the snow, and the coins in her skirts jingled as a constant reminder. Searching, nothing in sight. The coins seemed to jingle all the louder. Holly followed behind all the same, oddly silent and without a trace. She looked upon the buildings without a shred of distaste. Oh, that rhymed. Perhaps it was all a field trip to her, a fun little adventure to refresh the mind. Her empty shirt sleeve flew about joyfully. She left no footprints, and her grip on the shovel was that of iron. Lily, what's the person you're looking for like? They looked like a bum. And what did they act like? They act like they've got it all figured out. And what will you do when you find them? I'll tell them goodbye and go. Holly let out a bright, wonderful laugh. Oh goodness, Lily, you match in more ways than one. Not in the houses, not in the streets, not in the river below. There's no trace of that raggedy coat or battered no-good grin, because as if the storm had wiped them away completely. There was only one place left to look. While quite realizing it, Lily stopped in her tracks. The clearing seemed to be staring right at her. Oh goodness, Lily, what's the matter? It's the last stop. I'm sure your bum will be right there. I shouldn't go there. Oh? She was frozen in her spot. Somewhere. She could almost hear the sound of cracking glass. Just yesterday she'd been fine, but suddenly there was a great darkness growing within her. I don't know, there's something wrong with that place. We should head back. Don't you want to find that person? We searched all over town. Stop talking about it. Lily. No more. The doll's voice came out, stronger than it had in years. It shook ever so slightly with a fragile metallic edge. I know the one I'm looking for is out there. Even if it's scary, I don't mind. I've been looking far and wide, but it doesn't matter. Nothing matters at all. Not until I find out where he is." She spoke firmly, with a faraway look. It was clear that her mind had been made up a long time ago. The biting wind tugged at her empty shirt sleeve as she stared down at the frigid doll. "That's okie dokie, Lily. I had such a wonderful time with you anyhow. Oh, and do take good care of yourself." "Thank you." Holly gave her friend a good nod and turned to march into the frost. Lillian watched her get smaller and smaller, till she was swallowed up by the wind. Once again, the doll was all alone. Not knowing what to do, she sat down against the crumbling village wall with her box held beside her. There was a peculiar sensation in her chest. All this time, she had been well enough. Her box and some sparkling copper was all she needed. Those were the only two things to contemplate. But suddenly there was this cracking noise in the distance, and it had worked its way into her head. It made her feel like she would break apart. You don't feel pain. They make wonderful crystalline rings when they're smashed. I have to go already." Her head was full of crackling, but something compelled her to stay. She didn't want to break apart. She didn't want to be alone. She sat in the snow at the edge of town, staring out into the blankness, unsure. A crow was hopping along the ground in front of her, its purple feathers flicking off the snow. It stuck out like a sore thumb in the vast expanse of white. It was dragging something across the ground. It sparkled in the light. It was something made of metal. Noel had said it was too cold for any living things here, and yet there was this bird with their shrill little cry and heavy wings. They stopped hopping and looked at Lillian for something. "What do you want?" They danced around a bit more, trying to get a grip on the thing in its beak. Clank. The metal thing was small, but its sound seemed to echo loudly throughout the entire landscape. Away the black crow flew, disappearing into the distance. The sound in Lillian's head grew louder. It was louder than the wind of storm. The din that was eating away at her was farther, much farther away, deep in the place she didn't want to go. The doll stood up slowly, her hands pulled tight around her music box. She took one step forward, and then another, and then another. She picked up the pace until she saw flecks of bark flickering in and out of the snow. There was a forest of aspen trees hidden away in the distance, and in it she heard the caw of a crow. The doll chased after the crow as it darted through the winter aspen. The silver glint in its mouth clanked against the bark as it flew. The doll picked up her skirts and ran. Farther and farther into the wood. She would run as far as she had to. Eventually the crow would tire. Eventually it would land, and with it, its scintillating prize. In the endless sea of white, the splash of darkness spiraled down into the pile of splintered bramble. Lillian approached it, but the crow only danced around the spot. It was a battered nest that had fallen from somewhere high. The precious eggs scattered into the frigid powdered snow. They were frozen solid. The crow pushed at them with its beak, as if to offer them some sort of comfort, but there was only a hard clack as the frozen shells were tapped. The crow dropped its silver treasure into the nest and flapped its disheveled wings. Despite being made of broken twigs and bramble, the thing truly sparkled. It had been decorated with a collection of stolen shiny goods, so that it glittered when the winter light hit it. Lillian bent down slowly. The crow pecked at the ground around its beak. They locked eyes. Lillian's own cold and carrying stare against the bird's dark and glassy look in the silence of the forest. There was hardly any movement, and then the crow abruptly took to the sky again. Lillian watched it fade into the maze of trees before turning her attention back to the half-destroyed nest. Inside was a collection of trinkets from coins to hair clips to clumps of shiny foil. But heavy as a ball was a silver glinting thing that the bird had dropped just moments before. The doll picked it up as if it would break it any second. What a beautiful, lovely little silver locker. There were some signs of an engraving on its front, but it had now been reduced to thin, messy lines due to years and years of wear. Somebody had loved this. Somebody had run their thumbs over its front, time and time again, as an unconscious self-ritual. When Lillian held it, she felt the heaviness of its many years in her hand. She thought, and then clicked it open. What is... Inside, there was a tiny photo of a beaming young man. There was a spattering of freckles across their face and a wide, charming smile. They looked handsome in their vest and tie, with their hair slicked back in their Sunday best. There was a whitish edge on the side of the photo. It was torn from a larger picture. They had a life with many others in it. The doll clamped the locket shut. It didn't make any sense. Why would it be Noel? Why would they be here? They looked so cleaned up in a place unlike that washed-up drifter with the snow piling on them. Clang, clang, clang. Ceramic glass and metal were cracking together somewhere in the wood. Lillian held very still. It was close. She tucked the locket away in her skirts. It was very, very close. The doll stood up. She stepped over the frozen eggs as to not break them, but was startled by the crunching sound of her own boot in the snow, ceramic glass and metal and earth. Within the aspen cluster there came a passionate, sharp clang. The sound of metal meeting frozen earth rang as loud as church bells. Lillian looked out. There was white with flecks of speckled wood and a glint of light between them. Clang, clang, clang. The ring continued. It kept the same steady pace, determined to reach its prize. Clang, clang, clang. The metal hit something else with a terrible crack, and Lillian felt as if something sharp had dug its way into within her. It was the sound of ceramic cracking apart, a terrible ringing that could only come from a violent battering, a spray of bullets, or a powerful swing meant to kill. The darkness within Lillian began to grow. Clang, crack, clang. The doll realized that her own hands were shaking. The ball joints of her fingers were making the slightest clanking noises as porcelain hit the porcelain. It was unlike the shaking a human does when they're freezing in the cold. Instead, it was like every part of her wished to escape itself. If she was a creature that could breathe, she would have held her breath. If she had a beating heart, it would have stopped. The doll suddenly became aware of every part of her that could be broken. All at once, the clang stopped. Then I realized she had clamped her hands over her ears. She brought her shivering hands back down to her sides. There was nothing more. Emptiness upon more emptiness poured in. A sea of white with speckled wood, a glint of light between them, the glint of a metal shovel, stabbed through the frozen earth. It was almost like an invisible thread that was pulling her nearer. She gripped her box tight and walked forward. There was a small clearing, and in that clearing was a pit filled with ceramic faces. Cracks crawled up their features like Noel's scars, the paint chipping off to reveal nothingness underneath. The eyes looked skyward, looking for nothing. The arms lay shattered, reaching for nothing. The tattered uniforms and crumpled fingers intertwined with each other as a gentle snow blanketed their remains. The only vision of life in that terrible pit was Holly, standing with an ancient skull in her hand. She was looking directly into its empty eye sockets. She was trying to tell it something. Right outside the pit was a collection of various bones, levelly lined up by size, femurs and ribs, and the quiet Lillian made up the audience. "Captain," Holly said, "it's nice to see you again. I missed you so awfully. Don't worry, Captain. I'll put you back down soon. I just wanted to see you for a little while." She balanced the skull perfectly with her one hand as her empty sleeve swung beside her. She had traveled far and wide, and yet still was tethered to one desolate place, the place where her captain, once so gallant and sturdy, had fell into an ocean of ceramic bodies, who was found laying limp, and so he was pushed beneath the earth like the others. She placed his skull alongside the rest of the body, and finally turned to look at Lillian. Holly was unshaking in the frozen wind, and her gaze was firm and steady. It made sense why she carried that shovel now. This is what she came to do. Lillian looked to the pit below. "Who are they?" "I dunno. I just know they were fast and not afraid to die. I know all the places where they break best. Captain fought the best, but ended up jumbled with the rest of them." With one hand she began to shovel the dirt and snow back over the bodies. The glassy eyes did not blink even once as they were buried a second time. Lillian sat quietly as she watched Holly work. She couldn't tell if she should be afraid or something else entirely, so she sat completely still. All she knew for sure is that she was scared to be alone. After some time, the one-armed stranger began to dig another hole beside the array of blood bones. Her pace never faltered. "I thought that when I came here, I could recognize who killed Captain, and I get so awful angry. But I kept searching and searching, and all the faces looked the same. I couldn't get angry like that. I couldn't even get angry when Captain died. Even when he told me to live, I couldn't get angry or happy or cheerful or anything. It was like nothing happened at all. But when I try to walk, as I always have, I lose my balance so easy. And then my arms start aching up, even if it's not there. and I asked to see the captain, telling me to live. Her face stayed the same as always. It was like the faces that had just been buried just a moment before. But across it, at the mention of Captain, there was a small spark of something warm. Holly finished covering up the last of the bones and gave a great sigh. Well, that's all there is to it. It'll snow even more, and that'll make the graves even prettier. What will you do next? Holly mused over the doll's question for a long while. The doll watched her carefully. I don't think I'll go live. Well, not because the captain told me so. Oh my, that's rude, isn't it? When I saw you and that one fellow yesterday, I thought it would be nice to try that out. Living? I want to find out what that really means. Don't you think that would be so wonderful? Yes, maybe. Well, you're as pretty as a fresh fallen snow. Oh, don't you want to come along as well? And that ratty-looking guy, too. When we find him, let's all go together. All of us? All of us. The doll helped to lock it even more tighter. She knew what she had to do. Their statuesque figure in the gently falling snow was etched into her mind. She would find them and return the locket, and together they would all leave the town behind. Lillian and Holly left the graves in their wintry peace, to never be disturbed again. Out from the clearing the two trudged, the snow coming down harder than ever. The outline of the town barely peeked through the blustering winter white. Holly's teeth were rattling softly, but Lillian was undisturbed by the storm. If she could feel the biting wind, if her fingers could turn black and blue, if her feet could grow sore from walking, if her skin could grow chapped from the cold. It was like a splinter in her side, an idea that would not go away. The cracked faces in that pit of death, their eyes frosted over with a thin powder, like the sugar dusting of pastries. The silence had been deafening loud around them. If Lillian was made of flesh and blood, surely this would have been different. The piece of her that was blank would have ached with painful life. Instead, there was nothing. She knew. She was no different than the tangled of limbs in the outskirts, staring into the sky without a single thought, all wretched and soulless and easy to shatter. The thing that lives slowly on the wishes of others is the thing that shouldn't exist. Nothing. It was Holly's hands on her shoulder that brought the doll back. There was warmth in this small squeeze. Let's all go together. It was a wonderful thought, but the hand on her shoulder stayed. Lily, Holly urged, her breath right against the doll's porcelain ear. Is that the guy you were looking for? Lillian searched for the skyline. A thin figure was flickering in and out of the wind. They were standing on the edge of the town, only as far as Lillian had gone the day before, an invisible wall stopping them. Their coat was pulled tight, but the grip was nothing compared to the furious wind that threatened to break their entire body apart. Their heads swiveled from side to side, as if it was to the disconnect. They were looking for something unseen. Searching, but it was already gone. It's them, Lillian found herself saying. She heard her walking. The flickering figure looked as if it was about to go out. They were frozen in their place, the snow piling up around them. Searching, Lillian went even faster. The image of the still grave and the gunpowder stains and the dying weeds beneath the snow were scratched into her fragile memory, but Lillian felt something surge from the blankness. She did not want that figure to flicker out. Pushing forward, her hand dived into her skirts, pulled out the old hat. She waved it in the air. Noel! The searching stopped. The figure smiled, and a gust of wind tore through the air between them. And then they crashed to the ground. Noel? And so the doll. Darling, are you asleep? It was some time, wasn't it? Even if it's one of the most dramatic, romantic moments, that's all right. Get some sleep. Knock. Oh, just in time. Wait a moment. Ugh, it's so damn snowy out. Goddamn. Oh, excuse me for the language. It's so heckin' snowing out. Did you bring the papers? Yeah, I got them. Thank you so kindly, you wonderful, beautiful creature, you. I see how it is, not even concerned about my health, huh? It's just the damn papers. I said it's just the damn papers. Oh yes, the papers. They're in perfect condition, thank you. But you could watch your language around my daughter, I would appreciate it. Sure. Curse you for making an old foggy like me shuffle around the bureau offices at this time of the night. And run around in the storm, too. Have you no respect for your old master? No one only respect, sir. It's because of my respect for you that I asked you to find these papers. I got some of the papers, but the locations of the rest are nebulous at best. Well, that's because nobody cares about a story like this. I care. I know you care. You care about everything. Maybe you should see a doctor about that. Somebody has to care about stories like these. I think the most romantic voices are found within. I would like to teach my daughter about that kind of care as well. There's little documentation of the town beforehand. Just a few snippets about the use of doll soldiers during the previous conflict. It can be assumed that the anti-doll sentiment was high, but nobody much writes about the experiences of the dolls themselves. Their struggles, their influence, and their lives were all written around the margins of others. Master, it is not important to preserve these kinds of stories for the sake of humans and dolls alike. Damn it, when you talk like that, I don't know whether to be proud or to be bored to tears. You're nothing like your old master at all. Don't be like that, sir. You taught me everything I know. Sure, now show me what a good student you are and tell me a bit of that glorious story you got there. Oh goodness, you're going to love it. It's so romantic and dramatic and... Just get on with the damn thing. Right. So it was sometime after the great fall, but the snow was still falling in droves.